Hello, good morning. Welcome to David Live on the Zone Television, your channel of choice. I am Samson Balu.
And I am Good morning.
It is Thursday and it is almost weekend. And of course, we are going to discuss something that resonates with every one of us this morning, and that is rising cost of food prices in the market. Of course, food prices have been going up and up these days.
Oh my goodness. You know, the most important part or the crazy part is bread. Bread. It feels like bread is on the VIP road this time around, you know. Like you go to the market to get bread and you can't even understand what's happening. Something you used to get at maybe 350 suddenly is at 1,000.
1,200 something.
I don't know whether to say infuriating. It's exhausting. It's frustrating. So truly, we really need to do a lot.
And then there are points to be raised and of course to be discussed as regards food scarcity in the country. You go to markets, you see these products, but the fact that you can't just get them with what you have in your wallet. There used to be a time when with just 500 naira you cook, and then if you be in, it will be enough for you, and then you'll still feed some people in this same Nigeria. But now with just 500 naira, you don't even plan to
That's
eat.
a bag of water
now,
that is not even up to 20.
It's not even up to 20. Now, the question is, farmers are struggling for funds. Most farmers are no longer farmers. They have left their farms in search of greener pastures in the city. Now, you see farmers who used to be farmers, who used to be big men, now in the city doing public transportation, some of them bike riding. This is something really ridiculous.
Yeah, because you see a family man actually who has a car. When he drops his children off at school, he turns his car to a taxi probably. Or some of them are actually enrolled in these boats, you know, all this driving, and just to make ends meet. Some persons are hustling, are juggling between 5 jobs just to make ends meet. Even with the jobs, you still notice or realize that the income you're getting can't even carry your family, because when you get a salary,
alternative source of income.
Sometimes your salary finishes in that particular day it entered your account, because you're trying to settle this, settle that.
But once you start transferring money,
sometimes I wonder how the married ones survive. If someone single as I am, I mean, oh my God, wow.
Let me ask you this: is it the spending power that is lower now, or the value of the money we get?
It's actually the value of the money we get, because, you know, before you could get a bag of water for 15 naira. And then you could get gari, all these things, rice and beans. You know, you know the crazy part? Before, beans was something people don't really look at. But now beans is competing with rice. Beans used to be something that we like, okay,
Used
it's
to
an
be an
afterthought.
alternative.
Yes, it's an afterthought. Like, okay, oh, I've not had beans in a while, or I don't have money to get rice. Okay, let me just buy beans. But now, if you don't have money to get rice, you also won't have money to get beans. That's just the reality.
Do you know there was a time a bag of water was sold for as low as 25 naira?
I guess I wasn't born by then.
Then it went to 30 naira, went to 35, 40,
Really?
50 naira per bag. And now you get that for maybe 400, 500 naira.
Yeah.
In some places in Ibadan.
No, it's a whole lot. I truly wonder, you know, our viewers watching us right now, I'm sure they can relate, because I know that most persons are struggling right now. It's a whole lot. You know, I saw something on the public space, someone that committed suicide and killed his entire family. Okay, he killed his entire family first and committed suicide because he couldn't fend for them anymore. I mean, it's a whole lot. People are going, yes, people are going through a lot. The depression right now is real. Sometimes, well, maybe some time ago we would say we're just overflogging the issue, but right now I'm not sure we're overflogging the issue at all, because a lot is in place right now. A lot is happening.
When it comes to providing for the family, there are things that come to mind. Shelter is very important. It's paramount. That's the number one thing. Food is the other. Because once you provide those two things, it is after you have, you know, when you are done, you know, satisfying yourself, that's when you think of being creative.
Right.
Now, is the country on the path of, you know, something really dangerous if people are no longer thinking of what to become rather than what to eat? They are really thinking of what to eat now, not what to become.
Yeah, you know, with what you just asked now, I saw something that said people should not be, people should not have to choose between eating and sorting their needs. Because right now it feels like you have to remove some of your needs to be able to feed your family.
And that brings you to economics, opportunity cost for gun alternatives, scale of preference. You eliminate one for the other.
Now, the scale of preference is too scale of preference. That's the truth. The scale of preference is too much, because sometimes even the things that are very, very necessary for you to get, you just have to let go, so, especially with parents. Most times they let go of their very important needs to just meet up with their children's needs. Because
and that brings you to knowing the difference between needs and wants.
But sometimes there's also this need that you have to let go. Because right now you don't know what you need anymore. Like you don't know what you can please.
You can't afford them, you just have to let go. Now it brings us back to the original topic, which is why we don't have enough food, or maybe why food is expensive in the market. And I feel insecurity is one thing that we have not been looking at in this country. Most farmers are leaving their farmlands just because they feel that their lives and properties and their farm produce, they are at stake. You continue to see videos, pictures on social media of suspected herdsmen attacking farmers on their farmlands, and then eventually those herds will eventually feast on the produce.
Well, I'd agree with you to an extent. I'd say that, yeah, insecurity plays a major role in the scarcity of food products, or the hike that we're experiencing right now. But I would also say that most persons and most public people, most citizens of this country would say that if the fuel PMS can actually drop back to what it used to be, I mean, a whole lot will happen. Because, you know, fuel is like the bedrock of almost everything that happens in this country.
And good roads.
You have to transport it. So when you're paying transport, imagine the transport we're paying right now.
The fuel is cheap and then the roads are bad. It boils down to repairing your vehicles, then you have to hike the prices.
Yeah, but I mean, it's worse right now. We have the PMS high. The roads are bad. We're having insecurity. What exactly are Nigerians going to hold on to? We practically don't have anything to hold on to anymore. That's what it feels like. And it's a whole lot. Nigerians will say, we are just struggling to survive. We're trying to adjust to the reality we are actually facing now. But it feels like the more we try to adjust, the more things escalate. Now,
I really want to talk about, you've been talking about what effect it has had on Nigerians, but then I want to talk about the effect Nigerians are having on Nigerians, which is middlemen hiking prices for no reason. There was a time I bought you know, a pan of pepper for a certain amount in a particular place. On getting to another place, that same amount was so small. I was like, but then you guys buy from the same market. So why is yours different to what I got on the other end?
Yeah, that's another thing with us Nigerians. We are quite greedy to an extent. Greed plays another role in our lives, because we tend to want to make extra profit from everything we get. And it doesn't really sit well. It doesn't help because you know that we are all in this together. We are all in the boat. It feels like we're in the boat and then the water is getting into the boat and you are trying to just scoop the part where you are. It's not going to change anything. It's not going to make any difference because the boat is definitely going to sink if you're not going to do it, if we're not going to do it as a teamwork, if we're not going to do it together, we are actually all going to sink. We need to learn that when we're doing things, we should consider others. That's just the truth because it feels like we're all out to just put money in our pockets. And doing that, we end up hurting others and we don't even care. Because what you're saying is not new. I experience it too when I get to the market. Sometimes you price something here and they tell you an outrageous amount. And you're wondering, and you leave and go somewhere else and then you find that thing at a better price and you're wondering, what is wrong with some Nigerians? Why the price increase?
Okay, basically, I want us to talk about some cases where the Bureau of Statistics will release information about how inflation has reduced in the country, and then it doesn't. You get to the market and you realize it has not affected the common man in any way.
You know, something I always have to say in Nigeria is that they always explain prosperity to us. It's something we should feel. Let's feel it. Don't tell us that inflation has come down. Let us feel it. Let's experience that inflation has actually come down. Let's get to the market and experience these things. It's not every day we see on the newspaper, inflation dropped from this to this, this to that, and we're not even experiencing, we're not feeling it, we're not seeing it. So don't explain to me what I am going through. Let me be able to say, oh, Nigeria is getting better. I'm seeing something, you know, something.
Meanwhile, the House Committee on Food Security have begun an investigation into why food prices are really high in the country. And of course, the chairman of the committee, Chike Okafor, has said, okay, we are looking into things, and then whatever we find out, well, Nigerians will feel what it means to be a Nigerian. There used to be a time when food wasn't a problem. There used to be a time when education wasn't a problem. There was a time when insecurity wasn't something to bother about in the country.
There was a time.
There was a time when good roads were the order of the day. Everywhere you go, there are roads I see today that were made in the 80s, in the 70s, and they are still intact. But these days, roads made probably 2-3 years ago, a few months ago, then it's bad.
3 years. 3 years is even big. You can say like 5 months ago, and you're already seeing potholes. You're seeing those potholes, mighty ones and you're wondering, did they actually do something on this road like a few months ago? You know, all these things we hear about investigations and all the rest in the country, it's something we've been seeing. Nigerians will say, we're already used to this. We hear a lot of things, but we actually don't see it in action. You hear the Senate say, they are summoning this to come and talk about this. They're summoning you to come and defend what is happening. And sometimes these people don't even show up. And little by little, that particular matter is swept under the carpet. So
this takes us to government policies. Let's talk about policies that has to do with food security in the country. Since this administration came on board, what difference have you noticed in the last administration, this administration, or maybe since you started voting? Has there been any form of drastic change in ways that helps the country, or then what exactly have you noticed in the last, say, in the last 12 years?
Truth is something, I don't know if you're trying to put me on a hot spot, but the truth is, I wouldn't say I've noticed anything positive because I know what I used to buy. I know how much I used to spend in the market before. So all these policies that you're reeling out and saying this and saying that, I don't see it taking effect on the lives of Nigerians because, I mean, it's not working. We just see them, they are just paper written, they're just paperworks. That's the truth. That's what I feel. They're just paperworks, not something that actually happens in the country.
All right, you are still watching Dominion Television. Your breakfast show is live, which is Daybreak Live on Dominion Television, your channel of choice where inspiration meets entertainment. We'll go on a short break. When we return, we're straight to our news desk as Sarah Nwane is waiting.
Good morning. This is Daybreak News on Dominion Television. My name is Sarah Owane. Oyo State Governor Seyi Makinde has expressed his administration's readiness to partner with the United States of America to explore opportunities in solid minerals development, agribusiness, education, and other investment opportunities that will benefit both parties. The governor stated this yesterday when a delegation from the United States Consul General, led by the Deputy Chief of Political and Economic Section, Kenneth Hill, paid him a courtesy visit at the governor's office secretariat, Ibadan. Makinde, who was represented by the Deputy Governor Barrister Abdulrahim Bayo Lawal, said that his administration has put in place policies which will aid engagement on solid minerals, development, environment, and agribusiness and energy supply, among others. Members of the Federal Radio Corporation of Nigeria Pensioners Association have staged a protest in Ibadan, Oyo State, demanding the payment of their approved minimum wage palliative award. Protesters gathered at the Nigeria Union of Journalists Secretariat in Iyago-Okun yesterday, carrying placards. Chairman of the association, Shola Ogumola, highlighted issues with pension arrears, stating that not all pensioners got their 8 months of arrears from the 20% pension increase that was approved in January 2024. He made an appeal to the federal government to intervene, as many of their members can no longer meet their daily needs and cannot even pay their hospital bills. Nigeria Deposit Insurance Corporation has announced that it will pay a 100% liquidation dividend to depositors of 20 previously failed banks, marking a major milestone in the agency's commitment to financial stability and depositor protection. The announcement was made at an event by the Managing Director Chief Executive Bello Hassan, who was represented by the Southeast Zonal Coordinator Pamela Robert. As she disclosed, the preparation has begun for the payment of the first stipend of liquidation dividend, which will commence this month, emphasizing that the NDIC, in line with its statutory mandate, is responsible for liquidating failed banks, reimbursing insured depositors, recovering debts, and disposing of assets to ensure payment to depositors and other claimants. The federal government has declared the Naira for crude sales deal with Dangote refineries and other local refineries, facilitating through the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, remains effective. Technical Subcommittee on Crude and Refined Product Sales in Nigeria, a Naira initiative, revealed this in a statement yesterday after meeting with stakeholders on Wednesdays. Committee clarified that the Naira for crude deal is not a temporary or time-bound intervention, but a key policy directive designed to support sustainable local refinery, bolstering energy security, reduce reliance on foreign exchange in domestic petroleum markets. Leaders of the opposition Labour Party has visited the headquarters of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, in Abuja, the nation's capital. The visit was led by the party's 2023 presidential candidate, Peter Obi, and Abia State Governor Alex Otti. The members were received by the INEC Commissioner Sam Olumekun, asked the electoral body to recognize Nnadi Usman as the Labour Party chairman, days after the Supreme Court set aside judgment of the Court of Appeal in Abuja, recognizing Abure as the national chairman of the party. Meanwhile, the Rivers State government has announced the appointment of administrators for the 23 local government areas in the state, was disclosed in a statement by the Secretary to the State Government. Professor Ibibia Warika, who said that this was approved by the administrator of the Rivers State retired Vice Admiral Ibok Etek Ibas, stated that the appointment had taken effect since Monday, 7th of April 2025. The decision also includes the reconstitution of some board of agencies, commissioners, and parastatals that had earlier been suspended. The Central Bank of Nigeria has said that personal remittance inflow has risen to $20.9 billion in 2024, reflecting an 8.9% increase year-on-year, was contained in a statement signed by the CBN's Acting Director, Corporate Communication, Ms. Akama Sidi Ali, who contained in a statement issued by the Apex Bank while announcing a balance of payment surplus of 6.83 billion for the 2024 financial year. And now in sports, and now in sports, we're going back to the sport. Former Super Eagles winger Victor Moses has declared that he was going to be leaving the team. Yes. So he has declared to leave Luton Tower. And moving on from that, he also declared that he has had a good run on the team and will be leaving very soon. Please do well to follow us on all of our social media platforms at Dominion Broadcast, on YouTube, on Instagram, on Facebook, and also Dominion Cast on X. Thank you. My name is Sarah Omane, and that's the Daybreak News right here on Dominion Television.
All right, welcome back from that short break. And of course, that was the news on Daybreak Live on Dominion Television, where inspiration meets entertainment. We now head straight to our newspaper review segment this morning as we bring you the major stories on the pages of the newspaper.
Yeah, we'll be starting with the New Telegraph, and we have judicial reforms. How ex-CJN stopped answering my calls by CJ. Wow. And the writers that we have says his case has suffered 5 years adjournment at Apex Court, underscores importance of confidence in judiciary. Deoputa Esho days.
All right, taking another story on the New Telegraph this morning. There's this particular story that has made waves in recent times, and that's between Dangote Refinery and, of course, all other local refineries in the country. FG crude for Naira sales policy to continue. I wonder, why did they stop in the first place? And what stopped it in the first place? If we were going to have it, why not continue and then have a contract maybe 3-4 years?
Yes.
And then, you know, you have a standing deal
there's something
with the refineries.
Where to rely on, because the back and forth, I don't really...
It's not really
Some
helping.
Nigerians would say it's usually the normal thing. It's always, you know, the usual thing that happens in the country. Something starts up, maybe it's going fine, and then all of a sudden,
it's not working again.
And then we go back, and then we come back to it
and
again.
then since this policy was brought on board, I think it has helped, you know, refineries, prices of petrol, in some cases, reduced. At least if the margin is not that much, at least we are noticing the changes.
At least we can see it, actually.
Even though it has not affected prices, cost of transportation in the country, but then we can see on the meters that, okay, at least for personal car owners, you know, the prices have changed.
Oh, well, thank God for at least it's back on track.
All right,
So,
let's go straight to another story this morning. You are going to take that story.
okay, we have Abure sacking. NLC moves to seize control of LP offices nationwide. And the riders there, we have OT, attend NEC meeting by Usman-led caretaker committee. Party no longer be, okay.
They are so small. All right, let's
Yeah,
go to another
quite
story.
tiny.
CBN, FGN $6.83 billion balance of payment surplus. You'll find that story on page 8 of the New Telegraph this morning.
Right. And we have also only political will can end hunger in Africa, Jonathan. Oh, it's just like what we discussed earlier.
What we discussed earlier.
Hunger in the country. Like, only political will. Well, I think to an extent, he's correct.
Yeah, you're saying if the government wants to do it, yes, they will.
Yeah, if they
And you
actually
get to
have the citizens at heart, they would be able to.
And you get to
do
realize that
this.
it's not just about food. That is expensive. Even
Right.
education is expensive.
Everything.
To get
Is there anything
shelter
that is
is
actually
expensive.
cheap right now?
And nothing is cheap.
So everything is on the
houses
rise.
that used to be for maybe 300,000 naira every year now in millions, maybe 1.something million. You won't be wondering exactly why is this happening. But then away from that, let's take another story. Despite my criticism, Senator Kalu remains best among Abia's lawmakers. That story is on page 2 of the New Telegraph this morning.
And we have how cross-border trade hurts Nigeria's travel trade. Oh, okay. You can get more of that story on page 8 of the New Telegraph.
All right, page 2 and page 7 of the New Telegraph has this story. Plateau killings, IGP orders assets, tactical squads deployment as DIG operations proceeds to troubled states. All right, you'll find that story on the New Telegraph this morning.
And we have the former president in the news this morning. We have adopt citizen-centered approach to governance. Buhari urges APC governance.
All right, away from New Telegraph this morning, let's go to This Day Live. We have just a few headlines there. Godfather of banking, Jim Ovia admitted to freedom of the city in London. You'll find that story on the upper third of the This Day Live this morning.
And we have Trump announces 90-day pause on reciprocal tariffs with exception of China. Okay.
All right, away from This Day Live this morning, let's take this, the Nigerian Tribune. IBAS under fire for appointment of LG administrators in Rivers State. And then the riders, we have PDP accuses NAS of abdicating oversight role on administrator. IBAS in order, Tinubu gave him blanket check. That's coming from Okorie. You find that story on page 4 of the Nigerian Tribune.
Yeah, which brings me to Rivers State is still in the news.
It's in the news. I don't think this is going to end. It's going to end soon. We still have, he's meant to be there for 6 months,
Yeah,
and then if things change, he might leave earlier and he might leave later than expected. But then we'll continue to have these stories. And don't forget, news broke yesterday that IBAS was stopped by a court that he should not appoint administrators in local government. And don't forget, having suspended, all politically elected executives in Rivers State, it means that some people have to be at the ends of affairs.
Of course.
So exactly why IBAS is doing
to run
that.
The affairs of the state. It can't just be at the standstill.
House of Assembly members suspended,
right,
the Speaker suspended, Governor suspended, Deputy Governor suspended, then local government chairman also suspended, meaning we have to have people in those areas.
Okay, away from that, we have Jim Ovia admitted to the freedom of City of London. Okay.
All right, on Nigerian Tribune this morning, FG resumes Naira for crude. Pump price of petrol may drop. That story will be found on page 6 of the Nigerian Tribune.
FG, Chinese firm seal deal on $328.82 billion power transmission lines. Okay, we actually hope this is going to show. We're going to feel it with the
we shall see.
Quality of power we get in the country.
Actually, it's I don't think at this point Nigerians should be discussing how much power we have. I think it should be everywhere. We have countries who have gotten beyond this stage, even in Africa. they don't longer worry about electricity. They worry about, you know, how much they pay. That should be the issue we should be discussing right now. Provision should not be the problem. I think the government should, you know,
be able to do
sit
that.
up and be able to provide the necessary things. If Nigeria can supply gas to other countries, if we can supply electricity to other countries, why can't we have enough?
Like, sometimes it's something we actually always think and wonder. If we can actually give out to other countries, how come we here, we're not able to afford these things, these basic things?
You know, it's sometimes, it brings you to a point where you think, you read stories on the pages of the newspaper of countries owing Nigeria for gas supply, owing Nigeria for electricity supply, and you begin to wonder, if these people are owing you, divert all this back home. Let's have 24/7 electricity, and you will realize that we have more creative people in Nigeria than you can find anywhere around the world. People, especially people who repair items, probably
Nigeria is greatly blessed.
Electronics, you realize that they are no longer in their workplaces. They are probably out and about doing commercial
because,
transportation.
You know, people are trying
There's no electricity.
to survive.
It's just it's saddening, but I do hope that the government can do something about that. Away from that story, Lassa fever, Ondo, Bauchi, Edo remain NCDC. They remain epicenters. That's coming from NCDC this morning. That story is on page 19 of the Nigerian Tribune.
And on page 16 of the Nigerian Tribune, you're going to find Anambra 2025. Tinubu won't trade me off for Soludo. Ukachukwu says that. Okay, still on the Trump tariff increase that is going on. There has been back and forth about this particular story. But then it's on page 7 of the Nigerian Tribune this morning as Trump announces 90-day pause on tariffs except for China. So there's a long-running battle between China and the United States of America. And of course, a country like Russia is sitting down somewhere just watching. And I think there was a story that broke yesterday on Twitter, on X, where the Russian embassy, I think in Somalia or one African country, they posted a particular picture of people having fisticuffs, and then they showed China and of course the US, and then Russia was just sitting somewhere and watching the whole situation. It's true. I told someone during the inaugural speech of President Trump,
Donald Trump,
when he's got into office, I said it feels like he came with a lot of I don't want to say problem, or he came ready to fight. Because with some of the statements he made, America for Americans, we already know America is for Americans. I mean, and then lambasting people with different countries with tariffs, deportation, it's a whole lot. Like, it feels like the ball is still rolling. We're still expecting more to come from President Trump.
Well,
so this is
his second term in office. He has nothing to lose. He's probably going to do what he wants to do and then leave after for the full term of his tenure. All right, away from there this morning, let's move away from the Nigerian Tribune and straight to the leadership newspaper. LP crisis deepens. Parties split into 3 factions. Abure, Nenadi, Apapa claim party leadership. Don't forget, this is not the first time this is happening. There was a time Papa was, removed from office for Abure. There has been a long-running battle between these two until we had another person in the picture, which is Nenadi, who is also laying claim to the position. Now, the question is, can't we just have decorum in political parties in Nigeria where we don't have to? Nigerians should not be concerned about who leads a particular party at what time. It should be something they can resolve within the party and not make.
I was going to say that because it's not just the Labour Party. We have the PDP crisis. We have the APC, before Malam El-Rufai defected
to the SDP, which is another force coming on board.
We were having this back and forth between El-Rufai then and what they call them now, this PM, what they call Bayo Nanuga and all the rest that were answering him back and forth. And it was like the APC, he was like part of the inner caucus of the APC. And then we're also having the PDP saga of the whole secretary, Ude Okoye Ananyang, who was going to be the secretary. Like, it's a whole lot. So political parties, I mean, the 3 major political parties that we really knew very well, they were at each other's throats, having back-to-back problems and all the rest. So I feel like Nigerians will say, what what party now do we think we can hold on to? Because it feels like no one is even holding their rooms tight or their houses. They're not putting the houses under control to now talk of leading the country, because we're trying to get a better leadership come 2027, which we are looking out for.
To put their house in order.
Yes, they should be able to put their house in order, and we can get something reasonable and better for us, because, I mean, we're already sort of
Well,
tired.
there was PDP, and then there was APC, then the third first came, which is the Labour Party.
The Labour Party.
Maybe we are going to have a fourth first in SDP, all right?
Right.
Time is always there to justify the means. All right,
Yeah.
away from there, 125 died in nightclub roof collapse in Dominican Republic. That story is on page 6, a very sad
that's
one,
a sad one.
right there.
I
That's
saw
on page
it,
6 of the leadership newspaper this
I
morning.
felt really sad. Like, I mean, which brings us back to things should be done properly. Sometimes, I don't really know what caused that, but sometimes I could say the quality of materials used in constructing houses and some of these centers should actually be looked into properly, and they should be of quality. You can't just be putting people's lives at risk. You hear houses are collapsing and all the rest. Now look at the number of people that just lost their lives. Like, it's really a sad one. Our heart actually goes out to the families.
To the families. Well, you have spoken on the part of the contractors, and I think it's also affects, you know, the owners of these structures too.
Yeah.
You know, don't always go for the person that does it cheaper, because it will really bounce back. I've seen buildings which have not even reached, you know, finishing stage
And
collapsing.
they just collapse.
It means
Right.
that, you know, they're always managing materials, And then, as a contractor, if you have a person who owns a building and then you are in charge of that particular building and they tell you to continue managing, I think for your own safety, for your name not to be soiled, it is better for you to leave that project.
Yeah, it
Stop
is
managing.
better.
Use quality products. It's why it's important.
Well, we have global recession looms as trade war escalates. And we have the writers there as China imposes 84% tariff on U.S. goods.
All right.
64 countries hit with reciprocal tariffs. Also, Trump retaliates with 125% China tariffs. Markets were volatile amid turmoil. Okay. This is China, and like you said,
it's
Russia
a
is
long-running
just
battle.
watching and
then
observing.
it's a battle of who has the soul of the world right now.
Yeah, but
because these are powerhouses, and they have a lot to do with what happens to the economies of countries around the world, especially Africa. And then the scramble for Africa has not really ended.
At all. It hasn't
just
ended
about,
at all.
You realize that all these major companies in China, America, Japan, Korea, after all these products are, you know, finally done, the best place they want to sell it at a very good price is Africa. And then you think about a country like Nigeria. For 200 million people, you have a really, really big business hub. And that is why they are always scrambling for, you know, who gets the best part of where when it comes to businesses and economy.
Yeah, but because some persons would say that Trump is actually after China because he's seeing that China is actually growing. You know, during his speech, he mentioned something like that. He said the Gulf of Mexico, which he said they were going to take back. He said because gradually Chinese officials or Chinese governments, they were gradually going into that Gulf and they were about to take over it. And he said it's actually the Americans' right. So he's actually out for the Chinese government this time around. He's actually out for China. He feels like China is competing so hard with the US. And it's obvious because most of the things we see, you know, you have people say, they say it's China, is this, is that, because China is going wide. You know, their market is expanding by the day and growing wider and wider. And I feel like the US are sort of feeling scared that they're not going to continue being the giant of the world, you know, something like that. They feel like China is about to surpass them. So they're trying to bridge that gap and suppress them. But China is not having it. That's what I'm seeing with this. So this back and forth, well, let's see how far it's going to go.
I don't think it is ending soon. All right, on page 7 of the leadership newspaper this morning, there is a particular story for Nigerians, which is there, even it's written in green, so you know it's for Nigerians. All right, new e-visa system set for launch May 1. That story is on page 7 of the leadership newspaper. this morning.
That's good. That's good.
I think the minister in charge has done, I think Olubunmi Ojo has done a very good job when it comes to the Ministry of Interior, especially when it comes to passporting in Nigeria. He has done a very good job. It used to be a backlog of passports. You go there and they give you probably a month to come get it. At the point, if you can pay more, you probably have a shorter time. But these days, I think within 1 week, you get your passport. And then, I don't know if it has started, but there's a plan to deliver your passport to your houses. Instead of you going there to queue, when it's ready, they bring it to you. But then that will come at a cost.
I'm not trying to be negative, but we just hope it works out, because we've heard a lot of this in the past, but we're hoping it works out actually.
We shall see.
Moving on, we have APC, Still My Party, Buhari tells governors. Okay.
All right, let's take this particular story, a very sad one. That's on page 30 of the Leadership newspaper this morning. Thunderstorm kills 5 in Imo State. You'll find that story on the Leadership newspaper.
And we have the same story, at the nightclub, a sad one too. Like we said, our heart goes out to the entire family. They lost their loved ones at the Dominican Republic, the roof that collapsed at the nightclub.
All right, going straight to the Guardian newspaper this morning, there is this story, the major story on the Guardian newspaper. CBN craves fiscal authorities support, bets on stronger reserves surplus. You'll find that story on page 6 of the Guardian newspaper.
And we have Dixon hinges Benway Plateau killings on state failure. Well, I wouldn't know what to say about the killings, but I don't know if it's about the state, but it's really heartbreaking when you hear people are being killed. Especially some persons that are killed in their farms, they go to farm, and some persons that are killed in their homes. I mean, it's a whole lot. I really think we should do a whole lot on security. Security needs to be the first priority.
Well, there's a usual saying that says if insecurity lasts more than a day in a particular state, it means the government is complicit. So complicit in the sense that probably they aren't doing enough to forestall insecurity crisis in that particular kind of part of the country. But then, if the governor is saying this, probably they will swing into action and then see what they can do to make sure lives and properties are not being lost on a daily basis, just like we have been saying in places like Benue State, Plateau State. You have seen that in Imo. You have seen that almost everywhere in the country, the south, southeast, almost all the regions, even in the northeast, north central. This is happening everywhere. So it means that the government really has to do a lot. And of course, to the people, all you have to do is to supply intelligence. If you see if you see something, say something.
Say something.
So if anyone is in your area acting like you don't know this person and you feel it's a security threat, just make sure you say something.
But sometimes, don't you think these persons are scared of actually providing intelligence, because they feel like when we provide this intelligence and something is done to these people, they come back and they do more.
The point still remains that the government has to provide security for the people. I think if there's adequate security, you won't have issues disclosing this kind of information to the security forces, because they are capable of making sure that these actions are not being carried out. All right, away from there, Dangote may sell petrol in Naira as FG restores Naira for crude initiative. You'll find that story on page 3 of the Guardian newspaper this morning. Now, it's a question of what's going to happen to the people of Nigeria as this, the moment this agreement was stopped at the point, fuel prices began to go up again. I think it's at 9 something as we speak. Different prices in different locations. But then we have had it as low as 8+. So it means that if there is consistency in this agreement with the federal government, maybe we might just go back to the era of maybe 500 Naira or less. And if that happens, meaning by half, transport cost will be reduced.
Of course, it's definitely going to affect almost everything in the country. If PMS should come down, a lot of things will be affected, because, I mean, especially food prices. I mean, you need to
cost
eat
of
to survive.
Transportation.
Right.
Nigerians are groaning every day, judging the fact that they know exactly how much they spend to get to work.
And the annoying part of all of this is food prices and other things are increasing, but salaries are not increasing. Well, we're still struggling with the
imagine a person on 80,000 Naira minimum wage salary and gets to work with maybe 2K, 3,000 every day, to and fro. So if you calculate that,
What is left of the salary?
Well, maybe you have to have another source of income if that's to go about
and
it.
sometimes the workspaces don't even give you that liberty.
The room to do
yeah.
that. Okay.
We still have, the trade war between US and China, escalates as EU exerts
It's on
pound
all
of
the
flesh.
newspapers this morning.
Yeah, it is. It is on all newspapers.
All right,
this
I was taking
morning.
another story, still talking about the Labour Party. That story is on all newspaper. Abure Usman Apapa tighten grip on LP leadership wasn't party's woes. I don't think this is going to end soon. Away from that, Shekiri vows to shut more oil facilities over world delineation in Warri. That story is on page 7 of the Guardian newspaper this morning.
And we have EU advises Nigeria to elect leaders through ballot, not courts. Okay,
away from there, let's go to the blueprint. And of course, on the top of the blueprint, FG China company signed $32.8 million agreement to boost electricity supply in the country. We do hope this is going to have a lasting effect on, the people of Nigeria. Stable electricity. I think if that is done, one problem is solved. I've always told people that if you come into power, instead of doing 20-point agenda, 13-point agenda, 15-point agenda, why not pick one and fix it? And then we know, going down memory lane, people will always remember during the time of so-so person electricity was fixed in the country.
Electricity was fixed, the roads were good, or education, pick one of things, health. But
then one more problem.
One
more, we have not even gone to health. And then one more problem I think we do have in this country, I'll bring that into the conversation now, is because we don't have this maintenance culture. You go to these, we don't have too many health facilities in the country, but then you go to health facilities and you realize how bad they are. Some of them don't even have medicines. They hardly have beds to cater for these people. I've seen hospitals where patients were being attended to and then they had to lay their duvet on the floor to sleep. That's a major problem.
I've seen that.
And then you have an health center where a particular place, maybe the offices of consultants and doctors are in good shape, and the wards where the people who actually needed attention are being kept is in shambles.
Yeah, and sometimes you get to these wards, you see some patients on the floor because the beds have been occupied, are all occupied, and no more bed space, and they don't know where to drop, they don't know where to keep these people. It's a whole lot. We really need to work on our health centers, truly, because health is wealth.
All right, relief as FEC orders full implementation of Naira for crude deal. Says process will end Nigeria's dependence on forex for petroleum. Also says ESIMA urges support for Dangote refinery. I think it needs all the support it can get right now, because I think that facility has enough the capacity to supply Nigerians, the needed.
I mean, if they're exporting, if Dangote refinery is exporting, it means we should have more than enough here in the country.
If you have modular refineries in Nigeria, if you have Dangote refinery and all other refineries, I think Edo State has about 3 modular refineries. So if we have all these refineries and they are getting crude in Naira, I don't think we have a reason to import fuel. But then you begin to question the narrative behind importing fuel from other countries when we have a fully working refinery like Dangote refinery in the country.
There was a time when Ipman and Petron were importing fuel, saying it was cheaper than buying from Dangote. And it's funny because Dangote is exporting to other countries, and you're saying it's cheaper. I mean, it's a whole lot in this country. Sometimes when you think about certain things that happen in this country, you're like, are we really in a country, or are we just...
Well, that's a question for the political class to answer.
Right.
All right, away from there, let's take another story. Nigeria posts 6.83 billion naira balance of payment surplus 2024. That's on page 19 of the blueprint. Also, there's another one, FG to implement e-visa introduction of landing exit card May 1. Also on page 19 of the blueprint this morning.
We have embrace citizen-centric leadership. That's Buhari telling the APC. And we got that also on one of the newspapers. Okay,
in Lagos, 27-year-old Baba bags life imprisonment for defiling minor. I think that's a really sad one. It has been happening and happening almost every time you get to see stories like this on the pages of the newspaper. And of course, this will serve as deterrents to some people who still have or harbor the intention of doing something like this.
Does it actually serve as a deterrent? Because it feels like it's always coming up. Like, I don't know, when can we get a grip on that?
That boils down to advocacy. I think the National Orientation Agency has a lot to do in sensitizing the people on the need to, one, not do this as a man.
Yeah.
In whatever capacity you find yourself, you don't go down doing this. And two, parents also have to be protective of their children. Because most of the times you raise stories like, okay, the parents are not at home and then they left the child with a particular neighbor. And then while that one was busy, the child wandered to another place and then things like this happen. Parents should also be held accountable for what happens to their children. Because the fact still remains that you are in charge. And then leaving your responsibility to someone else who in turn, you know, get to harm these kids, it's something that should not be heard of.
And some parents would say that it's the situation of the country because they have to fend for these children. And which brings me to wondering, sometimes when you say you're leaving these children in the care of others, don't they go to school? Because if they go to school, I mean, schools these days, sometimes they close 4 p.m., 5 p.m. And I know that it's not really easy. But as a mom, you should be able to squeeze out a little time to get your children back. If they are still quite young, why not take them to your workplace? If one of them is a bit older, they can stay home. You can show them what to do and keep them at home. Keeping them in the care of another person, I mean, it's a whole lot. Aside being, aside this rape case, we can also have kidnap. They can be kidnapped. You know, there was a time a neighbor carried the children of his other neighbor and sold them all. So it's a whole lot. So we should just be intentional about parenting. That's just it.
All right, we'll go straight to sports story. This morning, Juventus turned to Lookman after Osimhen snub. Okay, 2 Nigerians in the news for one of the biggest clubs you'll find in Europe, which is Juventus in Italy. Okay, after Victor Osimhen probably said he wasn't going to join them, they are looking at Ademola Lookman, who now plays for Atalanta in right there, also in Italy. So the experience of already playing in Italy might help him, you know, succeed right there in Juventus. Okay, away from there, let's go to Business Day. And of course, what do we have on Business Day this morning? Okay, I think we have taken a business story. Let's go straight for a short break. And when we return, we delve straight into analysis. And of course, don't forget, we still have traffic report coming up. And after that, we are going to take you through the world of sports with Tolu Aniabe. We'll be right back.
Welcome to Dominion Broadcast House, your channel of choice, with the best stories and the best songs, where inspiration meets entertainment.
From powerful stories to thought-provoking conversations, we bring you content that informs, entertains, and transforms.
Catch top-notch entertainment, including movies, talk shows, and insightful programs curated just for you.
Looking for cutting-edge documentaries, exclusive interviews, and lifestyle shows that matter? We have got it all.
Stay ahead with the latest trends, inspiring success stories, and must-watch TV moments only on Dominion Television.
Join a community that celebrates excellence, innovation, and African storytelling at its finest.
Don't miss out. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on all our social media platforms, and watch Dominion Television today.
Welcome to Dominion Broadcast House, your channel of choice, with the best stories and the best songs, where inspiration meets entertainment.
From powerful stories to thought-provoking conversations, we bring you content that informs, entertains, and transforms.
Catch top-notch entertainment, including movies, talk shows, and insightful programs curated just for you.
Looking for cutting-edge documentaries, exclusive interviews, and lifestyle shows that matter? We have got it all.
Stay ahead with the latest trends, inspiring success stories, and must-watch TV moments only on Dominion Television.
Join a community that celebrates excellence, innovation, and African storytelling at its finest.
Don't miss out. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on all our social media platforms, and watch Dominion Television today.
All right, welcome back from that short break. Of course, the show is still Daybreak Live on Dominion Television, where inspiration meets entertainment. All right, we go straight into analysis this morning, as of course we have in the studio Afolabi, a public affairs analyst, who is going to do justice to the major stories on the pages of the newspaper this morning. And of course, Uzoms is still in the studio with me.
Yeah, we're still here, and we're going to be asking about the food prices this morning. You know, we've had the constant hike. Food prices are usually high. So what do you think is the reason why food prices remain high despite government interventions?
Well, we have various reasons why we have an increase in food prices, ranging from insecurity, government not taking the agricultural very important, and then we also have the people themselves. You know, you see, the prices first, like I said, the insecurity has push many people away from the farm. I remember those days, our parents do have farms and engage us at holidays period like this to go to farm, you know, join them in the work done, and we also increase the production on the farm. But these days, it has been a case of insecurity where we either afraid of the herdsmen coming around, or we want to talk about the people who would not, and they are not even herdsmen, but they just felt that they want the farm or the land for something else, you know. Like these days now,
encroaching on other people's farmlands.
Yeah, these days now we are having more of real estate taking over farms, land.
We'll get to that particular case, but then you can continue.
So these are one of the reasons. Again, is the government not taking very important in area of budget to agriculture. You will see that it is very poor, especially in some states where you expect that they should have pushing more into the agricultural production, like increasing their farming. Look at the statistics from the south, southwest, northwest, northeast. When you come to southwest, where we are so much endowed with the very fertile kind of land that can produce anything, can give us the production that we need, deserve, and that we need, that will take care of us. You see that our governors are not budgeting more for agriculture, and it has affected the production that we get. Then again is our own kind of people. People these days have taken away their thoughts from farming. People are now looking at fintech. People are looking at technologies. People are, in fact, people want things to be done without implementing anything. You know, now we're depending on foreign food. You know, when you talk about local made food, some people will still tell you that they still the nurse. The mindset of our people, all these have contributed to the kind of prices that we see on our market.
Do you think
you don't expect the few farmers to still bring all these things and sell at the price, you know?
Do you think greed can be added to that? One of the things you listed.
It's part of our mindset. Greed is part of our mindset. It's our mindset to see that when you produce and you are able to get at a very good price, people will now start adding more to it, and you know, everybody want to profit at all costs.
All right, let me ask you this question this morning. Let me ask you this, a little bit away from what we've been talking about, but then still has something to do with it. There's this dependence on the North for food. which is a major problem. While growing up, Southwest has always been self-sufficient in everything they needed. And then there came a point where if food is not coming from the north, things like alubosa, even yam is coming from the north, where we used to have behind our houses. At a point, even as a young man, as a young boy growing up, going to farm with your parents, you have a portion of the farm where you plant groundnuts. They know this is for you, even though it's not technically for you. But then, you know, I'm doing this just to make sure that you monitor what you are doing. Now, it's becoming a problem. Any slight problem from the north, probably something happened, insecurity, then it affects us down here. What is the problem exactly?
Well, the problem you have, as you have mentioned, is part of the laziness I've seen in our new generation. On the old generation, they take farming very important. They understand that it is what feeds the nation and also take care of the family. They understand that without farming, there is no import. You know, we have cash crops. We have so they understand that when you are planting cocoa, you are putting an investment in place for the future. Not the same thing when you are planting like maize, you know, and yam that will spare for like 9 months. And then they understand that it's also a way to build a family, to bring them together, to bring a kind of unity. The father is on the farm, the mother is on the farm, the children are there too. Is either they are gone for water, they are coming to take turn on each other, and these are part of what have grown our family in those days. But these days, education and modernization has eroded all this kind of behavior.
Do you think education is a problem? Can't we have these two together? You have education and of course you still do what we used to do.
We are not making good use of our kind of educational system that all other countries are doing. Our own kind of education is just a kind of education that is sectional. We put a kind of modernization that will make somebody to always feel that those who are putting on tie, who dress corporate, are better than that man that is on farm. That man that pull off his shirt and is putting out another clothes to dig the ground and ply the road and get things done on our farm.
Okay, you talked about laziness. Yeah. Let me say, laziness playing a part in what you said, but it's still this same parents, our parents, that sent the children out to the cities to make ends meet, to make better, you know. So I don't think it should solely be put on this generation, because it was our parents that actually sent us out to the cities. So it's not something that we should say that it's laziness basically on this generation.
Like I said earlier, is mindset. The present generation mindset is not what our former president, parent before now had in mind. They believe that if one person is going outside the country, this person is the support mechanism to the family. They don't believe that this person that have gone out of the country will be coming back home, picking everybody along. You know, they don't believe that that does not stop their family business to grow, to prosper. But these days, you know, we tend to understand that because we have worked on the farm, our children should not work on the farm. That kind of mindset is what is going up. That I finished secondary school at age of 23 shouldn't affect my children to finish secondary school at age of 23. They want their children to finish even earlier than 16.
So basically, it's not about this generation, because also our parents are playing a part in it from what you're saying.
No. Our older parents play a better part in food sustainability.
Our older parents.
Yes, than these generational parents. So and that is why at that time my brother was talking about, I also experienced it. My dad, even though we live in Lagos, we had a farm in Ikorodu that we go to and spend weekend, especially during holidays, and will give us a portion of our own land to harvest, to cultivate, to also make sure that we monitor it, to train us in the way at which we will grow and be sustainable on our own.
Some persons would say you are privileged to have a landed property in Lagos. Some other persons were not privileged to have that. So it means that if you're to farm, you will need to get back to your village to do that, and sometimes it's not always easy.
Well, these are the mindsets that have affected our food prices, food production, and have enabled us to be dependent of some particular region in the country.
All right, let's talk about real estate taking over farmlands, especially in the southwestern part of the country. Traveling to places like Isheyin, traveling to Abeokuta, traveling to Lagos, you see farmlands that are good enough. You see lands that are good enough to be farmlands, and then you realize it has been fenced, and then a particular estate that might not even start selling
in the next 10 years
has taken over. Now, the point is, what effect is that going to have on the people? What effect is that going to have on livelihood? Because now, the problem now is not really that they are buying these lands from the real owners at a really, profitable price like that.
Yes.
But then how do they get these lands from? What do you think the government can do to forestall this? Because this is a danger waiting to happen. It's a disaster waiting to happen.
Yes. We are sitting on a keg of gunpowder, and until the government stands to their rights and to their responsibility, our next 20 years is not certain. And I've said that fortunately, I'm into the real estate, and I've been saying this, and that I tell people that we don't plan. If we do plan, we understand that some areas don't deserve to have real estate at all. We don't plan. Now, look at those areas that you have just mentioned. Moving from LA to Erua, you will see that some places has already been designed for real estate, and you calculating the movement of residential or city between that place to that end, 10 years to this time, they will not, I can bet it, they will not have been able to sustain that place to make it the residential area they are planning it for. Even from Moniya to Isheyin. Very obvious. But we lack areas where we can farm. If this area has been designed for mechanization, for food farming, for large-scale farming, then we are sure of having enough at our back. We sure that our store will be filled up. Our price of food and production will be coming down. Now, you cannot go to the market to buy just ordinary ewedu again for 20 naira. You start from 200 naira.
All right, to round that off, let's talk about your advice for the government on food security in the country. What do you think the government can do? How can they come in to make sure that the people don't continue to buy food prices? We mentioned something while we were having the newspaper review. We talked about going to the market with as high as 50,000 naira and coming back home with polythene bag.
Yes.
I used to remember 2,000 naira meat, which is beef, used to be, God knows how much that is. But now, you can't even tell the man selling that you want to buy beef of 2,000 naira.
At all. I will advise government to come up with policy that will benefit the masses. Policies that will create a sustainable future for the country. Policies that will differentiate our present from our future. Policies that will give us hope that yes, we are in a country and not look at an opportunity to japa. Because that's the reason why people don't want to stay back. Policies that are not sustainable is the real problem here. Because a government will come in 4 years, put up a policies that is shaking, and the next government will come in, throw everything away. Because
are you talking about that we don't have culture of continuity?
No, we don't. I can bet my chest for that. We don't, because our government...
A particular government came on board and brought Vision 2020. Vision 2020 was not here. Someone else came on board.
25, 30, and 35.
Which have not really been actualized.
When you look at even this vision, look at the template of those visions. How many have been met? We have about 10% met on these visions. We talk about food security. We talk about education for all. We talk about housing for all. I still mention it on some platforms that, like Oyo State now, why you are having real house rent on the high end is because government is not looking at that. If you have a...
Should there be regulation?
There should be regulation. Government should also be investing in that. Where you can rent houses at a comfortable... If they have,
low-cost housing
estates. Yes, low-cost. Like in Lagos, we have Jakande Housing Estate, Gowon Housing Estate, low-cost housing estate, even some 2-bedroom...
We've seen governors in Oyo State building low-cost housing estates. Governor Adebayo Alawa Akala did some.
In some area. How long? Who to who?
So are you basically saying that most of this... the problem we are facing right now, it still falls back on the government?
Yes. Nigeria is run by government policies.
Governors are humans.
Yes, they are humans, but they are the ones that lay these policies. My brother, let me tell you, if you are to buy land here now in Nigeria, you must approach the housing what they call it, the Ministry of Housing, and then they approve of your land survey, they approve of your land survey to make it red copy. They also approve of your building to make it approved so that you can build whatever you want to. And then you go ahead. A particular government will come around and say they are putting up road, maybe a circular road they just talked about, and they are telling you that that house is going to be taken away, and that you present all your documents and they will be paying in a later date. And those dates never come until you frustrate yourself and die. So what big of you? Policies. We don't have a place where we are marking for farming. This area is strictly for farming, like we have government reserve areas. You are saying the government should reserve a particular place for farming in the country? I'm telling you, look at our road from the toll gates down to the border of Ogun State. Okay. All of them now is taken over by either universities or religious organizations. But your state has farm settlements. Those farm settlements, like you say, are you saying they are not active? They are not, either not active, not enough. Or they are being underfunded. That is another case for another day. Underfunded is another. You see, when you talk about underfunded, you are like telling us that our schools are just there. Why do we have private schools, private secondary schools? I'm not interested in tertiary institutions, private secondary schools, private primary schools. These are the reasons why because the government is unable to take care of what they have, and that was one of the. Remove a salary earner of 80,000 naira, and you'll be paying school fees on 3 kids of not less than 60,000 naira per person per term. And you want that person to go home with just 80,000 naira and not think of other means of gaining money? It's not possible. Let's be realistic. It's not possible. But our government still hold the baton. They hold the power to reshape things. They hold the power to put the country in a proper stage at which you can beat your chest and say, yes, I'm in Nigeria, and in the next 30 years, I'm in this country, I'll be fine. Well. All right, you've been talking about the government, the government, and the government since morning. Let's talk about the government this morning. Federal government says the crude for Naira sales policy to continue. Now, I want to ask you this question. Why did it stop in the first place? What is the government doing? What were they thinking when they stopped it? Dangote Refinery has the capacity to supply Nigerians with the needed PMS on a daily basis. Yes. Why do we have to import fuel? Is there anything shady talking about importing fuel into the country? Are people benefiting? Don't forget the issue of fuel subsidy. It has not ended, but then there is no news about it. We know that some people are benefiting from the fuel subsidy. Names were read out about, okay, we know this person is involved in the importation, but nothing has been done. Has it been swept under the carpet? In the importation of empty vessels. In the importation of empty vessels. And nothing is in them. My brother, and they are getting subsidies. They let us understand what we want to understand. This is information. Should we touchlight and look into people who have tank farms in the country, the major importers of fuel? If you want to touchlight and the power that be is not allowing you to go in further. Remember, we passed a bill for free information that will allow you to enter into government quarters and get information. And that is when they want you to get that information. When you talk about the sale of crude oil for Naira, it is government policy to bring down the price of dollar, you know, to maximize the stability of Naira, to make sure that we don't import and pay somebody in their own currency. Yeah, it's good. But who are the people involved? Some people are benefiting from it. And that, I want you to know, is a kind of cabal. It is open to us. We know it. The fact that our government is still in charge of all these policies keep us where we are today. You want to talk about the Dangote Refinery that has just come up and is capable of taking care of Nigeria in terms of production or supply. I tell you, where is our own refinery? I ask you, where is our own refinery? Before Dangote Refinery, we have our own refinery. Kaduna Refinery is there. Is there. Port Harcourt Refinery is there. Warri Refinery is there. And somebody just woke up yesterday and put up his own refinery, and now we are now depending on the refinery as a country of over 250 million people. And we have government, and we have legislative in place. Now, what you have said now has spoken about monopoly of power.
monopoly of business.
Yes.
It's not just about petrol.
At all.
It's not just about fuel.
At all.
Not just about crude. It's about food items too.
Yes.
In some cases, you realize a particular company has monopolized everything.
Yes.
And this boils down to the government giving licenses to these people. Are there no other people who can do the same business in the country?
They are all shareholders in this business. Even our religious leaders are part of them. But they will come on the podium on Sundays and Fridays and preach to us as if heaven is the next day after they are preaching. And that is just the case.
Okay, you're talking about we're leaving government policies to government.
Yes.
Who are we supposed to leave the policies to?
If we are in a normal country, a normal setting,
okay,
government don't have business in some business.
Like
the petroleum products you are talking about. Like the road constructions, like the housing estate, housing facility we're talking about, like the farming. Imagine government selling fertilizers, dishing out fertilizers to farmers. See, you need to just create a kind of environment that will allow partnership in this business.
Talking about giving fertilizers to farmers, I think that's just a way of the government aiding farmers in doing their business. Are they actually selling? If you talk about selling, is there someone in between? Are there people in between who gets this from the government, which is meant to be given to the farmers and then eventually sell to them?
My brother,
is the money, aids, funds being given to farmers, is it really getting to the real farmers or the farmers with pen?
Somebody will have announced on the radio or TV stations or to the general public that these farmers will be getting fertilizers free from tomorrow. Let tomorrow come and you see how distribution will go.
Who are the corporate farmers? Who are the real farmers?
Well, we have a list of corporate farmers. Now, we also have institutions, agricultural institutions. IRTA is there. IRT is there.
IITA.
They are all there. Forestry is there. There are many of them. In the South region.
More plantation.
They are just too much. But if you don't want to even identify the corporate farmers, let's see the institutions working. Let's know their farmland. Let's identify their farmland. Let's assume that, okay, IRT farmland is along the Ido Road with 60,000 acres of land.
Okay.
And they are dealing with rice.
Okay, let's leave the government. You're saying government's policies because the government are in charge. How about the ones that the government have left to the private sector, like electricity? Are we getting anything from them?
Have they actually left it to the private sector?
Well, we have the TUC.
You heard that the TUC, you heard.
Right.
Just say you heard. That is just the truth. Because they are still involved.
So you're saying
they still
are not
they come up.
privatized, really?
Have we privatized? Are they not involved?
Why was PACN then changed and split into
because we have a
Gencos, Discos, we have several.
We have a change in government. Because we have a change in government, and that is why we are saying our policy is not stable.
If Gencos cannot generate, what will the Discos distribute?
Who are the Gencos? Who are in the Gencos board? Do you know them? Do you have their list? That is the question. Let's be realistic. Until there is a revolution somewhere that will change all this table, that will turn the table around, we may not be able to move to the next level.
How can that regulation come?
Well, maybe when me and you realize that our vote is not for sale, and our responsibility remains that we join the group to make sure that we also, because the person that will be the president will not come from my family, will be determined by a particular party, and the party will be, the person will be nominated from the ward side, the local side, so the state side.
Don't you think about this selling of votes? Don't you think poverty has been weaponized in the country?
Weaponization of the poverty is the mindset of the people. When somebody, okay, there was a time we did NSAS, and few guys came out to say the NSAS must hold. While some was at home and watching their TV and telling their fellow colleague that I'm not going out, forgetting that those that have went out are fighting for their own cause too. Those who want to go and vote are going out there to say, my voter's card, if I can get somebody who will give me 20,000 naira, I'm okay. And some people will say, why will I get a voter's card? Because even if I vote, they already know who is going to win. And the person is on the street playing football.
So how about those that actually stand to their right and say, I'm not going to sell it, and then they are being abused?
A lecturer came in and asked that students who does not want to take lecture should raise up their hand. And those who want to take lecture should raise up their hand. 50 students in that class, 30 undecided, and 20 raise up their hand. Because 30 undecided, 20 raise up their hand, who win? 20. This is Nigeria, where 4 House of Assembly members can impeach a governor. This is Nigeria, where 4 House of Assembly members can impeach a governor, where a person at the tail end of the list of governorship aspirants can become a governor when you get to court. And because his lawyers can substantiate the fact that this man won at every polling unit, and polling and ward levels. So until we come out to understand some principles, we may just be roaming around.
All right, that takes us to politics this morning. Let's talk about political parties in Nigeria and, of course, these schemings that's coming on board ahead of the 2027 general election. Okay, just yesterday, Abure Sakin, NLC moves to seize control of Labour Party offices nationwide. We now have 3 people fighting for the soul of a political party. And this is happening. This is not a usual thing you get from the Labour Party, but then maybe because of their success in the last election, the little success they recorded, now we have Apapa, we have Abure, and of course we have Nenadi. These are 3 people who are fighting for the soul of the political party. And then you begin to ask questions. What exactly are they fighting for?
That is the question.
How does what they are fighting for
benefit
the masses positively?
An ordinary man.
An ordinary man.
That is just the case. Have you been to Apapa before now? Have you met him before he became the party chairman?
Yes, once.
Do you know his house in Ibadan here?
Yes, once.
Fine. And that man was opportune to be a party chairman of a new party that's just coming up. And at the tail end of that very, very crucial period, this man diverted and things turn around. And you see the man that was never visited started getting visitors and moved from Ibadan here to Abuja and make a place his own home. And I asked myself and people around him that, had Baba ever built any house in Abuja before now? Suddenly owned a house and then was given a jeep. And you see permutation coming in. That is Nigerian politics. I tell you, yesterday the acting chairman of INEC resumed office, and the governor of Ebonyi State, sorry, what do you call that? Abia State.
Abia State.
Visited him with his team and telling the man that this is the structure of Labour Party. And you can see that the scheming has started. This is how we will get to know ourselves better when we realize some principle in politics. This is how it started. 2027 may not be decided if we don't start from now.
No.
And that is why you see Abure, you see Apapa, you see all these people coming up. And I ask myself, how did you get to this place?
It's not just Labour Party. We also have that happening in the SDP.
SDP, even in Kwankwaso Party. NPP. NPP that was opportune to just be formed within the shortest period of time to meet up with the election that was just concluded, that brought in the president. You will see that those parties just won because the person in charge is from a particular region and he wants his state to be taken over by himself. And that is the power. The SDP now is being seen again as a new bride, where some people want to go there again and make use of the party.
El-Rufai is already doing his permutations.
Are these people working in the success of the masses? Are they fighting for our own betterment? Are they looking at our bad infrastructure to come in and make it better for us? Are they coming in to see our schools that have been dilapidated to become better so that we will have some savings by putting our children in private schools? Because you know how much you spend when you put your children.
Will any of these parties be a challenge for the APC come 2027?
No.
Do you think there'll be a new party come 2027? Or
which new party?
Like the way APC was birthed.
There was PDP, there was APC, and of course the third force came Labour Party.
If you know the trend
will the SDP be the fourth force coming election?
I know. No force. No fourth force. Listen to what Saraki said when he was to join the party.
Okay.
Saraki have seen it all. You know the trend of Tinubu. Tinubu, when they changed from ACN to the party
current APC,
they took over the Southwest. Southwest was being, owned by PDP. From Lagos State, they moved to Ogun State, to Oyo State, to Osun State. It was just because Aregbesola could not stand his ground with the party, and the leadership of APC were broken in APC in Osun State. That was why they lost. If not, forget about the Adeleke's family.
What happened in Oyo State?
The Oyo State, you understand?
So Makinde won the election.
Yes, because the people revolted. The people said no, and you will have seen it in the face of our.
What could the APC have done differently during that time that would have made Seyi Makinde lose that election?
If Baba, late Governor Jimobi, had been the face of everybody, his attitude contributed a lot, 60% to his
to the failure of the party.
Yes, to the failure of the party. Even if he brought in, I don't want to say the least member of the party, he will still win that election. But Baba, a kind of attitude is delay in payment of salaries. The pensioners were spoken to as if they were nobody. He spits to their face, he sent them back home crying.
Like he never cared.
Like he never cares. The tertiary institutions were in shambles. That was when you see LAUTECH protesting, Poly Ibadan shut down, primary school students protesting, and here and there. These are the people speaking. And he took, after leaving the office, wants to contest for senator. He's not going to possible. You will have, like somebody said, if you are a public speaker, you look at your audience to see their response. But
former president of the country, Muhammadu Buhari, has said he's still a member of the APC. He's telling governors, look, I'm still a member of this political party.
Even if
don't forget so soon.
Even if he's not in spirit, he cannot quickly deny his membership right now, because those people who brought in are the ones in the government right now, aside the Rufai and some very few ones. The contribution of Bola Ahmed Tinubu into bringing Buhari in is something that is too obvious, and even a blind man can see. And tell you, so you understand that it's politics, and Nigerians should be prepared for this politics in 2027. We should be prepared. In terms, if we don't want this government, it is we are the one that will determine. Look at what happened in Ondo State, the last election. We all have felt that, yes, this election will bring in a new breed of politicians. But the people were so much hungry, poverty was biting them like...
So hard,
more than mosquito. And they could not sell their vote like that. And they were asking that, yes, I haven't collected money. We are still praying that you...
It was in a video clip everywhere.
I haven't collected this money.
I saw a clip of a child cautioning the mother. Yeah, you don't have to say that the woman said,
I haven't collected this money. We are hoping that you give us good roads, good education.
After collecting the money.
You have been paid for the 4 years.
Votes have been sold.
Nothing will happen. And paid off. And that is what we are having in Nigerian politics. They understand politics and poverty. They understand politics and poverty. They know how best to use the two sticks.
That's why poverty is a weapon.
Yes,
according to what she said.
Yes, it's a weapon.
Weaponized poverty.
Yes, because
they know that with that they can get their bidding done.
They can. That is where we are in Nigeria, and then our insecurity is another weapon.
So what? You're saying we should take back our country. How? Like, sometimes when you talk about voting, ordinary Nigerians, the common Nigerians would say our vote doesn't count. Don't you think so?
Moreover, do you know how much it costs to buy form, to contest for House of Assembly?
Let's come to that.
Even to be a councillor.
Yes.
Local government chairman.
A friend of mine won.
Governor.
Chairman,
House of Assembly member.
In Oyo State. And when the guy finished the election and he won, he came home and said, Egbon, now I can rest. And I will now be able to pay back my debts. And I know how much he's owing. Running to millions of naira. Even to somebody like us.
If a councillor could say he was owing, what happens to a governor?
I was with the governorship candidates to a particular meetings during the last electionary campaign, 2022. And a man came from Lagos to be an analyst, and the man said, let's say you want to contest and you can do away with 15 billion naira. As if I've not heard that number before. 15 billion naira. And he was analyzing it that in each geopolitical zone or your state, you must have your office. You must have your office in every local government. You must have at your the world. You must take care of all the religious organizations. You must take care of all the artisans organizations. You must take care of this. And he was listing them out. And at the end, the man said, even at this gathering, what did you come with? The guy came with food pack. And he said, this is not enough to start a bidding. And that was what ended that guy's vision. Ordinary Gary that the guy distributed during COVID, they broke down his wall in his house. This wall was pulled down. People outside, I was part of people that packaged the two Congos of Gary, intentionally given to people, and they said they should
keep. The place was overcrowded.
Too much overcrowded. And thank God nobody was at the back of the wall. Even we will have recorded casualties.
It means the people are hungry.
The people are hungry.
People are hungry.
Hunger is everywhere. It's a deliberate action. Like in the PR work, it's a deliberate action. We only hope that government will do the needful, God will help us, and we'll be there to put the thing right. Because at times when the government is even trying, people are there not to make it work. Our government, our people are so much that they want to quantify everything for money.
All right, that takes us to a foreign story this morning. Trump pauses tariff most nations for 90 days, but of course they excluded China. There's a long-running battle between China and, of course, the United States of America.
The second coming.
What does Trump want to do with this battle with China?
The second
what effect does China's growth have to do with the United States of America? And then what's the way forward?
The second coming of Trump is the beginning of wisdom. We have said it before. Okay. And we understand that this man understands the politics at his first coming. You have seen it as China coming in to be like a high competitor with the US.
Are you saying his second coming, he has nothing to lose?
He has nothing to lose now. He has nothing to lose. And that was why he started with all these policies.
What effect does this tariff hike has to do with countries like Nigeria? The scramble for Africa has not ended.
It has not ended. Yes, we know how much China has invested in Africa. And we know the results on us. We see China's everywhere in every business. And walking around without visa. And doing their business and taking our people into slavery, and we call it employment.
Do you think in any way the US are scared of the growth of China and they're going to surpass them at some point?
You know, this is a two powerful nations. Okay. China is entering into Africa to capture them, to make it second home. And US is aware of that. At the same time, the understanding of Trump is so big that he knows that the best way to crump the China's strength in US is to increase their tariff, is to make sure that they pay more. He has said that before coming. This man said this all while he was campaigning. It's not like all like Nigeria, where we go to campaign ground and we start with music. And the president that is contesting did not give us anything, no manifesto, like we used to say. Nothing.
But he danced.
And we just dance, music, and they share rice. And
all right, let me ask you this question to round off this segment of the show. Now, what is the position of Russia in all of this? Russia is relaxed. China is fighting America. What position do you think Russia will take?
What Russia has been careful now to take a position, because you remember the last time they visited the US, and it was like a bullying situation, and it was because the president was very intelligent and he could understand where he's coming from. So I think Russia will be in the best position not to act so fast, so as to know the best place to be. But for now, Trump is in charge.
All right, Afolabi, thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you very much.
It's an honor to have you in the studio.
I'm very glad to be here. It's a wonderful studio. Thank you for having me.
We do hope next time we'll call you, you'll be here.
Maybe I'll make this place my second home very soon.
All right.
Oh, all right. Thank you so much for staying with us in this segment. Well, we're going on a short break, and when we return, we'll be heading straight for Traffic Reports. Stay tuned.
morning, Nigeria. Good morning, Oyo State, and good morning to the beautiful people of Ibadan. We are currently live at Mokola Roundabout, where movement here is going smoothly and freely. And then as at 2 days ago, this place was under construction. And right now, me getting here this morning and seeing the movement around here, I am going to tell Oyo State government that they've done a very good job. Because right now, the road is so smooth that everybody can easily go to their destination on ease. If you are coming from Dubai, you're going to Sabo, you're heading towards Agodi Gate, UCH, or you're also going to Ojo through Mokola. The road is very, very smooth and it is going at a very easy space. And then the traffic officials around here, they are also doing a great job in making sure everybody gets to their destination on time. And I am Eniola Salvador, reporting from Dominion Television.
All right, that was the report from Eniola Salvador. Traffic report at Mokola Roundabout in Ibadan. Some places under construction just a few days ago, now totally fixed, and cars can move and go by their daily businesses without EZOs. All right, that is indeed a very good one from the Oyo State government. You don't have to wait too much time to execute projects. All you have to do is to make sure that these places are free enough for people to go for their daily businesses. Yeah.
And about their daily life patterns and styles, you know.
Well, we'll go straight to sport this wonderful morning. Daybreak Sport is with Toluwani Abe. We'll go on a short break, and when we return, Toluwani Abe will be waiting for us for sports.
Captain, the ball at his feet. Fernandez steps up. Manchester United take the lead against the run of play.
Bounds 40% of the threes. The floater, very valuable challenge.
Outputs impressive long-run pace and testing.
In action later today for his club
Manic captain, the ball at his feet. Fernandez steps up. Manchester United take the lead against the run of play.
Good morning and welcome to your channel of choice, Dominion Television, Daybreak Sports. I am Abe Paul Toluwanimi. Straight into action, we'll be looking at the local scene where MPFL fines Shooting Stars 5 million naira and stadium closure to fans. Shooting Star Football Club are to pay a fine of 3 million and another 2 million to Ikorodu City for damages to their bus following security breach. I remember, on Sunday, the Shooting Stars welcomed Ikorodu City, in that beautiful stadium, Lagos Salami at Damasingba. But we had several issues after the game, that Ikorodu City had videos and evidence of their bus being vandalized and other situations, surrounding that area. But we got the report earlier today that Shooting Stars are to pay a fine of 3 million and another 2 million to Ikorodu City for damages of their bus following security breach that resulted in attack. Ikorodu City contingent and also fans have been indefinitely restricted, from gaining access to Shooting Stars home games. This incident occurred at the end of the Nigeria Premier Football League match day 32 at the Lagos Salami Stadium. The Ibadan club, was found guilty of all 3 counts of failure to provide adequate security, a failure to ensure proper conduct of their supporters, resulting in attack of their opponent and throwing of objects to the field of play and the referees. The failure to provide adequate and effective security, which resulted in unauthorized persons gaining access to restricted areas, and they harassed the match officials. Shooting Stars were fined 1 million. The second charge read that you are in the breach of the Rule C9 of the frameworks and the rules of the Nigeria Premier Football League, in that on Sunday, the 6th of April 2025. In the course of match day 32, Shooting Stars versus Ikorodu City, they failed to ensure the proper conduct of their supporters, which resulted in another assault away at team supporters. The disciplinary committee and the panel ordered a fine of another 1 million on the third charge of not controlling their fans. They are also to pay 1 million. According to the ruling, the panel ordered that the closure of the Lakon Salami Stadium to fans for the rest of the season. Shooting Stars, under the rule C226, is required to within 48 hours indicate acceptance of the ruling or elect an appeal of the decision. That's the situation coming from the Shooting Star camp, and also Ikorodu City situation right there on Sunday. Moving away from Shooting Stars, still on the local scene, we are looking at the Ondo situation, where Governor dissolves Ondo State Football Agency. Ondo State Governor Dr. Lucky Orimiso Ayedatiwa announced the dissolution of the management board of the Ondo State Football Agency. With the announcement, the executive chairman of the board, Mr. Dele Ologun, and other members have been relieved of their duties with immediate effect, and as directed to hand over all government properties in their care to the accounting officer of the agency. Meanwhile, the governor has approved a caretaker committee to manage the affairs of the Sunshine Football Club under the leadership of Mr. Tokumbo Akinyelure as the team manager and welfare officer. The caretaker committee is to report directly to the office of the state governor. The governor, Dr. Lucky Ayedatiwa, charged members of the caretaker team to make sure they work towards turning the situation of the Sunshine Club around. That's the statement coming from the Ondo State Football Agency right there. Still in the local scene, we had matches played yesterday in the Nigeria Football League, where we had Lobby Stars against Remo Stars yesterday. The game ended in a 2-2 draw, match day 31. And also today we're going to see Ikorodu City, take on Castina United, in that beautiful encounter. Remember, looking at Ikorodu City in their last 5 games, just 2 wins, 2 draw, and 1 loss right there for Ikorodu City. And remember, they're also trying to fight for a continental spot right there. Also for Castina, it's 2 wins, 2 loss, and 1 draw in the last 5 games. But let me come back to the game between Lobby Stars and Remo Stars, where that game was a must-win game for Remo Stars, but they were able to salvage a draw in that game to Lobby Stars. Right now, we're looking at the table where we'll be seeing what is panning out right there for the likes of Remo Stars. Remember, Rivers United, sitting second on the table, are chasing tail to tail, with Remo Stars right there, but they are sitting 61 points with a goal difference of 18 right there on the table. So Remo Stars must be ready to make sure they are winning all games, away or on their own turf. We have Abia Warriors sitting third on the table, while we have Shooting Stars. I remember earlier I gave you the report of the situation, surrounding Shooting Stars and Ikorodu City right there. So these teams where we have Shooting Stars, Rangers, Ikorodu City, Bended Insurance, and Imba, these teams are all trying to fight for the continental tickets right there. Remember, like I said, we have Ikorodu City. We're going to take on Castina United, who are sitting 15 on the table. Moving away from that situation on the local scene, we'll be heading to the world of basketball. Yes, we'll be heading to the world of basketball, where we have the situation, coming through from the River Hoopers. But before that, let me let you know that the standings at the Kalari Conference games is looking not so good for the River Hoopers, but this game to force the Rabats is going to be a must-win game. on the table, we have Al Ittihad of the Egyptian side with 3 points, 3 wins and 0 draw. I mean, 3 games played, 3 wins and 0 loss right there for the Al Ittihad side of the Egyptians. And also our very own, the River Hoopers, Nigeria, 3 games played, 2 wins and 1 loss. Also for the Moroccan side, we have the FUS Rabat, the country hosting this competition with 3 games played, 1 win and 2 losses right there. Also, the Malian side, Stade de Malien, also 3 games played, 0 win and 3 loss right there. Let me let you know that the River Hoopers are the high qualification against FUS Rabat right there. The Basketball African League Season 5 action continues in the Kalari Conference as Nigeria River Hoopers prepare for a crucial showdown against Morocco FUS Rabat tonight at 8 p.m. West African time. With both teams having played 3 games already, this match is vital for playoff positioning. The River Hoopers, currently second on the table, need a win to secure qualification and possibly change Al Ittihad for the top spot. The FUS Rabat, on the other hand, are fighting to keep their playoff hopes alive in what is essential a do-or-die encounter. All eyes will be on tonight's clash as stakes are high for the tightly contested Kalari Conference game. So like I said, it's a must-win game for our very own Rivers Hoopers right there in the Kalari competition. Moving away from that, we are moving straight into the European scene where we have the Night of Champions, the Champions League night of football, where we have FC Barcelona against Borussia Dortmund. The first goal was scored by Rafinha, the captain of the side, who has been doing fantastic thing right there, for FC Barcelona. And also Robert Lewandowski also scored the goal right there in that game. Also Robert Lewandowski again with a brace right there in that competition. And the very own Lamine Yamal, giving, a seal victory in this beautiful game between FC Barcelona and Borussia Dortmund. I remember yesterday, if you look at the record, you would know that FC Barcelona have been doing great things, in the competition, and they have so much to do, going forward in the second leg. And I'm basking on Borussia Dortmund to turn the tie around, but maybe football, anything can happen. Also in the Champions League, we have Paris Saint-Germain. I remember they are champions of the French League 1 in the French League, but this game was a beautiful game to behold, where we saw the game pan out 3-1 in favor of Paris Saint-Germain. The first goal was scored by Morgan Rogers right there of Aston Villa, but Desire Doué changed the tie right there, and also Varatelia, the former Napoli man, also getting on the score sheets right there. Beautiful goal to give them the second in that game. Nuno Mendes also scoring in the additional time right there in that beautiful game. The game ended 3-1 right there in favor of Paris Saint-Germain. Moving away from there, we'll be looking at the result, of the Champions League quarterfinal first leg game, where we have FC Barcelona with 4-0 to Borussia Dortmund. FC Bayern Munich have it all to do at the San Siro Stadium in the second leg. The game ended 2-1. Remember, Inter Milan have a defensive record of just 3 goals conceded in the Champions League this season. Also moving away from that, Paris Saint-Germain, the 13-time champions, have done all victory, on their home turf, 3-1 against Aston Villa. And so Unai Emery, must change the tie right there in England. The Sporting family, the Gunners, Declan Rice, giving a sublime goals right there, in this beautiful game at the Emirates Stadium. And the report has been saying, the likes of Jude Bellingham, Lucas Vazquez, Vinicius Jr. are saying the game can be turned around at the Santiago Bernabeu. This is the first quarterfinal first leg result right there in the Champions League. The Sporting family are moving away from that. We are moving straight into the championship, where things are happening. We are seeing great things, happening, where we have Birmingham City promoted to the championship. The Sporting family It's exciting to see the likes of Birmingham City. I remember watching, while growing up watching the Premier League, these are the teams that you don't want to come against, in the Premier League. They will surely, give you problems going forward. But right now, they're back in the Championship. Birmingham on the rise again. The Runway League leaders, Birmingham City, sealed promotion back to the Championship at the first attempt with 6 games to spare, thanks to victory at Petersburg. So their victory at Petersburg, gained them, another, promotion back to the Championship. The big spending City, relegated last season at 14-point clear of the second place Wrexham, and now cannot be caught by third place Wycombe, despite the Chairboys win at Huddersfield. They have led the table for the most campaign, and the boss, Chris Davis, first season in the management, have achieved their expected promotion to the Championship. So I must say, big congratulations to Birmingham, right there on the promotion, back to the Champions League. It's good to see teams like this, are still trying to fight, for a position, back to the Champions League. I want to say a big thank you to you for staying tuned to your station of choice, Dominion Television. Over to you, Samson, and
welcome back to Luani. It has been a long journey over, yesterday, the UEFA Champions League, Aston Villa slipping through 3-0 defeat away there in Paris. And of course, Bayern Munich doing, Barcelona doing what they know how to do best, whitewashing Borussia Dortmund by 4 goals to nothing. I told you that was going to be a stroll in the park for Barcelona there. Borussia Dortmund really don't have the quality to compete with Barcelona as we speak. But of course, the most important news, which I feel it's quite interesting, is seeing Birmingham City, getting promoted to the Championship. It tells you that when Rooney was there, he always got that team relegated, and of course a new coach has taken them to the Championship. That's a big ups for Birmingham City. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you so much, Thank you so much, Samson.
You're welcome. All right, the show is still Daybreak Live on Dominion Television, and of course you have been listening to Toluwani Abe taking us through the world of sports, and of course we simply have to go this morning, because this is the convenient time to draw the curtains on today's edition of Daybreak Live on Dominion Television. Don't forget, you can watch us live. You can watch us live on all our social media platforms. You can do that on YouTube. You can do that on our websites at Dominion Broadcast is on YouTube, and of course on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. You can find us live on Facebook at Dominion Broadcast, and of course on X, formerly Twitter, you can find us at Dominion Cast. We say a very big thank you for being a part of this show today. Don't forget that your waterways are very important and of course key to your health. If you keep them dampened and of course not taken care of, that could breed mosquito, and that leads to malaria, and that leads to sickness. You have to keep your environment clean at all time. Don't forget to be a success. Keep trying until you become a success. Samson Balogun is my name. We have to go. Thank you for joining us today.
And remember, security is everyone's business. When you say something, say something. We'll see you tomorrow for the TGIF edition of Daybreak Live. I remain Uzom Sokichuku. God bless Nigeria.